hands up, no turning back.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Strive Tribe podcast with your boy Devin Gonzalez. And today I wanted to talk about, nutrition from the kitchen to the gym, how it plays a role, and what effects does your nutrition really have. And we'll go into a little bit, the different kinds of diets and all that kind of stuff and what that really means and how it pertains to maybe your goals. The first thing I want to start off with is, does nutrition really affect your workouts? Does it really affect your results? And the answer is 100% yes. Okay, you have to think that nutrition and knowing your nutrition is just like if you were driving in the car and you can see your gas gauge, right? You can see if you're on a full tank, you can see if you're on a half tank, an empty tank. Knowing your nutrition is knowing that gas gauge essentially for your car. If you don't know what your macros are for the day, if you don't know what your nutrition has been throughout the day, it's almost like driving in a car and not having a gas gauge and just guessing, hoping that you're going to get to your end destination, aka your results. Now, nutrition itself, while knowing your nutrition is extremely beneficial and necessary for you to hit your goals, you have to know what your nutrition is made up of. What is the contents, what is the components of your nutrition, right? The main things are going to be your protein, which, can come from a variety of sources like lean meats, egg whites, and, even some vegetables have some form of protein, but know what your protein grammage is per day. Usually a rule of thumb, if you don't know and you haven't talked to someone, start off by trying to hit 100 grams of protein a day, right? If you can at least hit 100 grams, if you haven't been tracking, that might be a huge curve for you to overcome and just hit that minimum. Then once you're actually getting 100 grams in a day, the rule of thumb is whatever your body weight is or your goal body weight, times that by 0.8 to 1.2, okay? So if I'm 100 pounds, then I need anywhere from 80 grams to 120 grams. So 100 times 0.8 would be 80 grams of protein a day, or 120 grams, which would be 100 times 1.2. Doing that formula will help you make sure you're getting enough protein in. So it's not your current goal weight or your current weight, it's your goal weight. Or even more in more detail, if you can know what your lean body mass is, that's what you should be multiplying it. Like for here at Strive 11, we have the InBody scale. And with the InBody scale, it'll tell you what your lean mass is. When you have your lean mass, then times that by 0.8 or 1.2 to find out what your goal grams of protein should be. Now, the reason for the range is not everyone is going to be necessarily looking to pack on muscle or pack on lean muscle, so you can go towards that 0.8. If you're looking to add on muscle, whether it's bulky or lean muscle, make sure that you're hitting closer to that 1.2 percentage of lean body mass. Now, realize that if you're overeating protein, which can also happen because people will tell you that protein doesn't turn into fat and stuff. So people will stick to, just proteins and veggies, and realize that in doing that, you're still having to metabolize and break down that protein. So if you're overeating protein, let's say you're almost eating 2 grams for every pound of lean muscle mass, realize that your body can't absorb all of that. So you're going to shit it out. Now, if your body's not absorbing it and using it, 1, you're wasting money on it, and 2, you're wasting nutrition on it. So now that nutrition could be made up of something else that's going to be more beneficial to you, right? The next component that we want to make sure that you're having is an energy source, whether it's from fats or from carbs. Now, this is where people start to get a little confused because people think either one of two things. I can't have carbs because carbs are going to make me fat, or I don't want to eat a lot of fats because fats are going to make me fat. And that's simply not as easy as the case is. Carbs and fats both are energy sources. Different forms and different styles of an energy source, but they are both energy sources, and they are needed for you to fuel your body, which is like the gas in a car, which is going to give you that energy to not only push through your day, but also push through your workouts. Now, depending on the style of working out that you do, will dictate what you should naturally lean more towards, which is fats or carbs, because carbs are going to be a quicker, faster energy source. Definitely better for lifting heavier weights, doing more explosive exercises, any HIIT exercises. Now, where fats are a slower metabolizing energy source, and those are definitely going to be more beneficial to someone that is doing, let's say, long distance running or going on a long hike, and I'm not saying on a couple miles, I'm talking about, actually like backpacking and, doing all hikes and stuff like that. Cycling, all those kind of things that you're doing exercise for an hour plus, right? You're going to want that slower metabolizing energy source because it'll push through your whole workout. And even when you refuel, you don't want to necessarily refuel with something that's going to be in and out, right? Which is going to be that carb. But now the hard thing is, some people, even though you should have either more carbs or more fats, everyone's body is different. And your body is going to respond to the energy sources different. Some people's bodies respond well to having fats, which is that whole keto, craze. And then some people don't respond well to having higher fats and low to little carbs instead, right? So some people respond better to the carbs. And then you have a blend of both. Like me personally, I have a blend of carbs and fats. That's just what I found works best for me. But that's not necessarily the right thing for every single person. You put 100 people in the room and basically give them all the same meal plan, it's not going to work for everyone. And that's why meal plans and nutritional guidance is a personalized thing. You can't just have a cookie cutter meal plan and expect it to work, because your body is not cookie cutter. Let me repeat that. Your body is not a cookie cutter template of everyone else's body. So your nutrition, from protein, which is what's going to repair and rebuild and restore your muscle and your organs and your essential function, is not going to be the same for every single person at your same weight, at your same age, in your same gender. Just like what energy source works best for you is not going to be the same for every single person. Now, how you figure it out, what your nutrition should be, there's a variety of different ways to go about it. Honestly, the best way to find out if carbs or fats work better for you, it's trial and error. If someone tells you otherwise, they're full of shit. It's trial and error. It's easiest to start off with a blend of both. And if you start to notice either one, you want to try to go more the keto route and do fats and proteins. One, you'll be doing more of a fitness keto route if you're trying to actually become fit, because you're not hiking the Everglades and you're not hiking Mount Everest. So there's no reason for you to have 70 to 80% fat in your nutrition, right? You need to have that macro goal of protein hit, and then the rest can come from fats with having a range of 5 to 10% of carbs. But the opposite way is true. If you don't really like fatty foods and you want to try more carbs, or let's say you're doing a lot of HIIT workouts and so forth, and you want that quicker energy source, then you'll do the same, but with carbs. So you'll hit your protein grams. You always start with protein. So whatever's left over from your calories / macros that need to be hit after your protein has already been established of what you're going to hit for your protein, then the rest can come from 70 to 80% carbs, keeping that, let's say 5% to 10% of, or even 60, depending on your protein, but 60% to 80% of carbs, and then the rest coming from, your fats, whatever's left over. So if your protein goal, let's say of your total calories your protein goal already takes up 30%. Well, now you're left with 70%. So out of that 70%, you're looking at 60 to 80% of that 70% will be carbs or fats, and then the remaining balance will be left for whatever you didn't have of your energy sources. What I recommend is you starting with the balanced diet though. Figure out your protein macros, lean body mass times 0.8 to 1.2. Once you figure that out, minus that total calories from your total, minus your protein calories from your total calories, and then the remaining balance, now you can play with and figure out what you want to eat. Especially if it's a balanced diet, now you can kind of plug and play with the foods that you like or that you want to pair with the proteins that are in your meal. But realize that that is going to be a trial and error thing, and you can't do trial and error if every single day you're switching it up. Like today you have a balance between protein, carbs, fats. Tomorrow is more high fats. The next day is high carbs. Realize that you're going to have to try to stay on one style for a week or two to see what effects are happening to your body. Are you losing weight? Are you building muscle? What is your goal? And are you going in the right direction? If you're not going in the right direction and you're looking at the results and the data that's been given to you from doing your measurements or your weigh-ins or your in-body scale, then you adjust accordingly. You can either try the high fat and protein diet, or you try the high protein and carb diet. But you have to know the results, and that's why we are huge on at Strive 11, doing the in-body scan so that we can see what your body composition is, so that we know how to adjust accordingly, especially if you are on our meal plan service. If you're doing your if you're doing your nutritional guidance and we're tracking your macros, then again, we'd only know how to track your macros based off the results given to us from your body composition scans or your measurements, right? If you're not tracking the data, how do you know how to adjust? Based off feeling? That's just not the right way to go it. That's like saying, again, you're going to drive in a car with no gas gauge and you're going to just feel it out. You're probably not going to make it to where you want to go, or at least make it all the way there. You're letting, other forces of nature take the wheel, and that's definitely not what you're trying to do. If you're putting all the hard work and dedication into your fitness and you're sweating, you're crying, you're bleeding out on the floor of exhaustion of all this hard work, you might as well make sure that you're giving your body the fuel that it needs to recover and to burn or build whatever your goal is in the right fashion. Know your macros so you know the gas that is in your car, which is your body, so that you can get to the destination, which is your results that you want to be. It's really not that hard. Is it tedious? Of course. But you know what's even more tedious? Not knowing why you're not getting to your goals. Because then you're trying this and you're trying that, and then that's more frustrating. So either way, it's going to be hard. Either it's going to be hard from you having to track your macros, which you can do with any app. Just track the food as you're eating it, see what you normally eat, and then adjust accordingly. Or, it's going to be hard because let's say you already tracked your macros, you're, meal planning, and you're having to put the work into meal plan. But the other side of that, what's hard? Not knowing what you're going to eat and trying to figure it out on the fly. If you're not meal planning and you're not prepping out your meals for the day or for the week, and then you're trying to eat healthy on the fly, and now you don't know where to go, that's also hard, because then you have to deal with that look in the mirror when you're staring at yourself, asking your questions, why am I not at my goal? Why am I, this? Why have I not lost a pound? It's because you're fucking not doing the work. All the work is you tracking your food, knowing what you're eating, knowing how many times you work out. I guarantee if I asked you how many times have you worked out in the last week, you'll know. What did you do? How many minutes? You'll know all those things, right? Because your workouts, you're doing them. Now you have to have the other side of the coin and do the nutrition so that you actually know what the fuel is to go get that car moving. And I know it's frustrating, and I know it's hard, and I know there's so many things in life that make it seem like, damn, meal prepping is so much harder than, I don't have time for that. I have kids, I have this, I have that. Yeah, no shit, so does everyone. But if it was easy, then it wouldn't be as rewarding when you actually get there. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. If it was easy, there would be no pride and no self-accomplishment of you actually attaining and keeping those results. Because it's just easy. It's everyone does it. Right? So I want you to really think about, do you know what your nutrition is? Do you know what your nutritional goals are? If not, ask somebody. Ask a nutritionist. Ask a dietitian. Ask your trainer. Here at Strive 11, we have a nutritional guidance program. We even have a Strive 11 app, Strive 11 meal plan app, right? That you can track your food. You can track your workouts. You can track everything so that, again, you have all the data so that we can make adjustments with you so that you get to where you want to go. We even put the work in for you to give you that app to track all those things. But at the end of the day, no one's going to make you do it. Just like no one's going to give you your goal. No one's going to give you your results. You have to be willing to put in the work and do what needs to be done, whether you feel like it or not, if you want things that other people don't have. If you want to achieve things that aren't just to you, which is your goals, your nutrition, your fitness, your aesthetics, your physique, whatever the case is, you need to work for it. And I promise you, when you put in the time and you figure out how you're going to track your meals, how you're going to do all these things, and you figure it all out, and you start to see the results, there is no greater feeling than that feeling of self-accomplishment that you will feel when things start to work out. I promise. When things start to go right and things start to work out and you start noticing the changes that you haven't noticed in years, it's going to make everything worth it. Just by you tracking your foods or prepping your foods, it may seem like more work right this second, but at the end of the day, once you're already tracking your foods and you know what's going on in your meal prepping, now there takes all the guesswork out for the rest of the day or week. Because now you already know what you're going to eat. You already have a game plan. You don't need to sit there and try to guess. You don't have to count the rest of the carbs that you had earlier in the day and try to figure out how many grams of protein. So now you're spending so much time trying to figure it out on the fly that if you just dedicated an hour or two, now you get the rest of the week just to run the game plan. You already know the strategy, just run it. So nutrition does play a huge role, okay? You need to eat your carbs and fats. You need to know how many grams of protein that you're eating, and you need to make sure that you're eating the right allotment for your body type as well as to fit your goals. If you're trying to build muscle, you need to be having a certain amount of carbs and fats, which is going to be a surplus so that you can put on size. Now, when you're going into a deficit, you're going to be eating a deficit amount of calories, but that calories comes from your amount of carbs and fats. Your protein doesn't really stray too much, right? That's the one value in your macros that shouldn't be adjusting higher and lower, at least by many grams. Because if we're going off of lean body mass, that doesn't build that fast. That doesn't burn that fast. So your protein grammage should stay roughly the same as your calories change, and then your calories will change just depending on your goals, your body type, your desire of foods, and that comes from your carbs and fats. But if you're not eating your carbs and fats, you have to think you're running your car, aka your body, on an empty tank and your reserve tank every time you go into a workout, every time you're hanging out with your kids, every time you're trying to get something done at work, you're on that reserve tank. And that's why you're in that mental fog, and that's why you're in a little bit of a slump, and that's why you're feeling a little depressed, and that's why you're feeling anxious, and that's why, see where I'm coming from? All the reasons of the negative feelings and the negative side effects that you're having from not knowing your nutrition and knowing the fuel in your body can be solved by you putting in the work. It's as simple as fucking that. Put the work in, know your nutrition, stop eating fucking McDonald's, and let's fucking get it. But I love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the Strive Tribe podcast. And If you guys have any questions, if you guys have any topics you guys want us to cover, please hit us up. Don't forget to leave a review and give us that 5 stars. We love doing this for you guys. Talk to you soon.